Valkyrie VF1J take off! Go! Flash! バトロイドファイト！ 3つのタイプに完全変形、カラーリングも楽しめるスーパーリアルモデル、タカトゥトイスのバトロイドバルキリー。要塞艦ビッグマクロスも登場。
In their efforts to capture the SDF-1, the Zentradi have gathered a vast degree of intelligence on the meager advancements of the Micronians within their own solar system. Such a limited expanse seemed contrary to their apparently ample ability of consistently, creatively outmaneuvering Britai's flotilla. After the Battle of Saturn, it became prudent for the Zentradi to scout out the other planets of this system and possibly lay their own traps for Zor's battle fortress. One such scout ship enters the orbit of Mars, descending through its thin atmosphere to find the remnants of a Micronian base. The Cyclops recon vessel reports its findings back to Britai as Exodor briefs his fleet commander. The base contains no life signs or energy readings, with Exodor postulating that this evidence suggests the base stands abandoned, possibly from one of the Micronians' own interpersonal wars, with those stationed on this outpost either having not survived or escaped. Britai's instincts tell him this is the perfect place to lie in wait for the battle fortress, especially as the 7th Mechanized Division of the Batora fleet will soon join them. That name rings a bell with Exodor, recognizing it as the command of Khyron Kravchira, which Exodor finds more than a little alarming.
Impossible, this just cannot be. Surely, sir, you haven't ordered up Khyron's division?
Indeed I have. Why not?
Aren't you familiar, sir, with his reputation and his battle record? In the Mola operation, he got drunk and ended up killing some of his own men. In the Osiris battle zone, he almost wiped out 2 divisions of friendly forces while successfully destroying the enemy. And for that, his own troops have named him the Backstabber.
So they call him the Backstabber.
Warning, ships emerging from spacefold are too close to our forces. Collision imminent.
The collision of this D-fold wreaks havoc among Britai's flagship and a handful of others, knocking over Exodor as this quadrule command ship skids along the hull, breaking bits off as it passes by.
This is happening just as I expected. Khyron, sir, he is a commander totally without discipline.
Commander, the 7th Mechanized Space Division has arrived. We're reporting as ordered, Britai.
Ah, just as I thought. We crashed into 4 ships total. You thought it would only be 3 at the most. I win the bet.
Be quiet, you fool! Our conversation is being broadcast!
What? Sorry.
Britai begins chewing Khyron out immediately for his antics, threatening to take away his command if he doesn't behave. Khyron's glance behind him shows that he blames this reprimand on his second-in-command, Grell. He all but rolls his eyes as he graciously accepts his orders from Britai. Orders which entail the entrapment of an enemy vessel on the 4th planet of this system. As Britai relays his clever plan, he can't help but feel he may regret calling in Khyron the Backstabber to carry it out. The SDF-1 finds itself in yet another skirmish on its journey back to Earth. Having reverted to its cruiser mode to hasten its speed through the solar system, it moves along, with Global ordering course adjustments to support the squadrons of Veritech fighters defending the ship. As Lisa issues new combat instructions to Roy Fokker, leader of the Skull Squadron, they meet the enemy head-on. The attack is not without its casualties, though. Rick Hunter, who's grown used to combat flying by now, still feels the vulnerability of it, especially as he sees other fighters shot down near his position.
I could be next.
He continues on, bravely doing his duty alongside Roy and his squadron. Vanessa finally declares the retreat of the enemy on the bridge, and the crew there lament the number of Zentradi attacks they've suffered over the last few days. It's almost as if they're being harrowed along a certain course. Roy lands and seizes the chance to catch up with his little brother, Rick.
Rick, how you feeling? You look tired, old buddy.
Yes, these battles every day are wearing me out.
Well, I think we scared him off for a while this time. Why don't you try heading into town? Have some fun and relax.
News from the bridge. We have been attacked by 120 enemy pods, but our 1st, 4th, and 7th fighter squadrons have succeeded in completely destroying them. Our casualties have been light and our navigational system has not been affected. That is all.
Rick is concerned by this announcement, only because he knows it's not completely accurate. Even though he understands the importance of making sure the civilians feel safe, he isn't keen on seeing the truth bent so broadly. He's tapped on the shoulder by none other than Minmei, who was always a welcome surprise. She sees he's upset, and he explains his concerns over the propaganda the military issues out. All Minmei knows is that her friend is having a hard day, and she knows that staying depressed over such concerns doesn't do anybody any good. Taking Rick's arm, she determines to go and brighten his day once again. Meanwhile, the bridge crew is receiving some nonsensical signals, which Vanessa determines the origin of, coming from Sarah Base on Mars. This sparks alarm in Lisa, as she and Captain Gloval know that outpost was attacked in the last Great War, and no personnel were known to survive. Lisa anxiously asks that they move to investigate, since the signals coming from there mean the faint possibility someone may have survived. Claudia, who knows why Lisa is so anxious about this, helps coax the captain to order a course towards Mars. If nothing else, they could at least resupply their own dwindling reserves aboard the SDF-1. As the ship closes into the barren, beautiful world, Lisa is struck with emotions long buried, memories kept hidden and treasured in her mind of a young man named Carl Reber. Some years ago, Lisa was enchanted by Carl, who dreamed of being transferred to the base on Mars to escape the constant infighting and wars on Earth. His peaceful views, not to mention his dreamy eyes, had stolen a young Lisa's heart. Their romance was fairly illicit in the sense that Lisa's high-ranking military father never approved of this boy and his pacifistic sensibilities. One more reason Carl thought it prudent to transfer to Mars. Lisa determined that she'll follow him one day, once her own military career and advancement would allow it. As Carl says goodbye to her with a kiss, he hopes they can be together soon. Yet Lisa never was able to fulfill her promise to join him there, as the base was attacked after all, and Carl had surely lost his life. The shock of these memories Lisa kept buried all these years drown her in nostalgia, until Captain Gloval snaps her out of it, ordering a recon vessel sent to check the base. The Cat's Eye ship does several passes of the outpost, never once seeing the buried Cyclops reconnaissance ship hidden from view, Geraro inside of it, or Khyron and hundreds of battle pods hidden in the canyon not far away. The SDF-1 cautiously sets down outside the base until their own defense perimeter can be established.
Enemy ship descending. It's down. The enemy ship has landed, sir, but it's way out of range of our mines.
Oh, I wouldn't worry about that, Geraro. Soon the enemy will approach the base, and when they do, they'll walk right into our trap, and there'll be no way for them to get out.
Unleashing a myriad of destroids as security, they ready the transfer of supplies from the base. Feeling all is well, the SDF-1 moves closer to hasten the operation. This, unfortunately, sets them right in the middle of the Zentradi gravity mines laid out by Khyron's men, unknowingly ensnaring the battle fortress once the mines are powered up.
Come on, a little further. Step into my trap. Yes.
With the operations underway, Lisa makes a special request to the captain to go and check the base for survivors. Global dismisses the idea outright, but Lisa's insistence and Claudia's offer to cover Lisa's position convince the captain to allow her the request. The patrolling Veritech fighters join the ground asteroids as the resupply is underway, and Rick takes this opportunity to make a request of his own to Roy.
Commander, how about giving me a day off next week, all right? Over.
Next week, the whole squadron is asking to take a day off. Everyone has received invitations to Minmei's birthday party. Believe it or not, she even invited me.
Huh?
Hey, who is that gabbing on this channel?
Hey, Claudia.
Who's Claudia? Is she that old sourpuss, Roy?
The person you're talking about should be passing underneath you guys right now.
Oh, no.
Hope she didn't hear you, Rick.
I love this blink and you'll miss it shot of Roy, hand raised, goofily waving at his girlfriend Claudia as she radios he and Rick. As Lisa enters the base, she isn't sure where to start, so she seemingly, randomly, checks everywhere, going level by level. She is surprised to see the base's main computer is on and active. She turns it off, but takes this as either a sign of encouragement that personnel have survived, or a sign of some other sinister motive at play. Khyron waits as the gravity mines spool up the power necessary to weigh down the SDF-1, yet his patience is diminishing quickly. Not as quickly as some of his battle-hungry subordinates, though.
Captain, I can't wait any longer. I'm going now.
What's going on? If I can sit here waiting patiently, everybody can. Listen to me, you empty-headed idiot. Don't you ever disobey an order of mine again, or I shall kill you next time, you understand?
Khyron gets the point across to his men, but in doing so, gets a point across to the SDF-1 as well. Eagle-eyed Vanessa detects the explosion of the battle pod. Global directs their recon vessel to investigate, and its findings raise all alarms. Seeing the attack force laying in wait in the nearby canyon, Global orders an immediate evacuation and retreat of all forces. As Claudia goes to move the ship away from the base, it shakes with tremors, the enhanced gravity of the mines keeping the SDF-1 grounded. Vanessa's radar produces a model of what is pinning them down, revealing the underground gravity mines of the Zentradi. Geraro confirms the success of the mines, working at full power, and Khyron orders the attack on the SDF-1 and its forces to begin. Launching out of the canyon by the hundreds, it isn't long before Khyron and his units are on top of the base and its defenders.
They fell for it, now kill them!
Captain Global looks at the base schematics with Vanessa, determining that these underground mines are close to the main energy furnace that once powered this entire base. Global comes up with a daring plan and orders Claudia to radio Lisa for instructions.
You want me to blow the base up?
I want you to put the furnace into overdrive so it will blow up and destroy the enemy's mine system. It's our only chance. Lisa, listen to me. You're the only one who can do this in time to save the 70,000 of us here on the battle fortress.
If you can't do it, we'll have to try a suicide mission. Claudia, get me Fokker.
No, wait, I'll do it.
Lisa descends to the bottom floors of the base, feeling the weight of this responsibility to save her friends and crew members. Quickly, she sets the furnace controls to overload before she begins to make her own escape back to the ship. Claudia informs Global she detects the increasing energy of the furnaces as the captain orders that in their retreat, the Veritechs and Destroids should attempt to lure the battle pods onto the base as much as possible so they can get a front row seat to the impending fireworks. As the Destroids begin to pull back, Khyron takes this as a sign of cowardice from the Micronians, pressing his attack further into the base perimeter. Lisa runs through the base as quickly as she can, past rows of personnel quarters, yet the furnace overload has initiated blast doors to close and seal portions of the base, trapping Lisa in a hallway. As she looks for a way out, she stumbles upon one name labeled on a nearby door. Reber. She enters what must have been the quarters of her long-lost love, and despite the emergency sirens blaring all around her, she takes in the space in which he used to dwell, feeling the spirit of him in his personal things as she takes a seat, her promise to join him here now finally fulfilled.
Oh, darling, I finally made it.
Lieutenant Hayes! Please respond! Lisa, the furnace will be exploding in a few minutes. Answer me!
She may be hurt. Better send somebody in to rescue her.
Men, we've just been ordered to fly onto the base to pick up Lieutenant Hayes. Rick, I'm putting you in charge.
Huh? Why me?
Because you proved to me you're responsible enough, and besides, you'll be saving someone's life.
I appreciate your confidence, but why does it have to be that particular lady?
Peggy.
All right, cut it out, Roy. I'll bring her home.
Despite his jokes and banter with Roy, Rick is happy to perform this duty, but can't help but feel the irony of being assigned to rescue the one person from the SDF-1 that he'd almost rather not. Rick's sensors show Lisa's position at the residency section of the base, and about 50 battle pods between them. Rick unleashes his remaining missiles at them, clearing a spot to land in Guardian mode, causing them to blow a bunch of each other up in their attempt to hit his nimble fighter. Switching to Battloid, he skillfully cuts a swath through this entire battalion of pods, a feat Roy takes notice of from high above.
Gotta admit it, that boy has really gotten a lot better.
Having cleared his path and laid down cover fire, he zooms towards Lisa's position at top speed, ready to free her from her impasse, and hopefully earn his own freedom from her constantly griping at him. He warns her he's about to break through the wall, which she barely takes note of, right before his Veritech's fist bashes through it right next to her.
Stand back! I'm gonna blast my way into the building! Are you ready? Here I come! Come on, move it!
I'm not leaving this room. I don't know why you're here, but you can leave right now.
Is it something I said?
Go away.
1 minute to meltdown. 1 minute.
I have no idea what's happening here, but my life is at stake now too, so come on!
I'm not leaving.
No way, you have to come!
Leave me alone. No, put me down.
30 seconds to explosion. Get out of there, Rick!
The SDF-1 lifts off immediately, the storm created by the explosion of the base doing nothing to impede the mighty fortress as it ascends back towards space. As Rick moves to rendezvous with it, we find Lisa still in his fighter's grasp, her gaze still back towards Mars, blurred by sobbing tears, as she truly feels the loss and grief of her once great love. On the surface of the planet, the hole left in the ground from the base's explosion is littered about by broken battle pods from Khyron's troops, as well as Khyron himself, who seems to have luckily survived this storm.
I hate to lose our fight! But we'll meet one another again, and next time I'll win.
This Khyron has now seen the tenacity and cleverness with which these Micronians do battle, and he can't help but be dangerously excited by it. The SDF-1 pulls away from Mars, continuing onto Earth, as Lisa stands on the deck of the Prometheus, her eyes still locked on the final resting place of her former fiancé. Rick, after landing, couldn't just leave her alone, having heard her cries over the comm as they fled. He'd never seen her so vulnerable before, didn't even know she was capable of it. But he knew a broken heart when he saw it, having become somewhat well acquainted with the feeling himself recently. While not exactly joining her, he kept watch over her, playing his role as protector of the ship and the people who call it home, which included the formidable, even passionate, Lisa Hayes.
I hate to lose a fight! But we'll meet one another again, and next time I'll win.
Khyron wasn't known to easily let go of a grudge. After all, one doesn't earn a title like the Backstabber without a little payback. He wasn't allowed to harm the SDF-1 significantly, but his continued attacks certainly roughed it up a bit. Despite Britai's direct orders to simply follow the battle fortress, he was curious to see if the Micronians could be worn down. Yet he couldn't help but admit how the closer these Micronians moved towards their homeworld, the greater their fighting spirit became, and Exodore concurred. Britai's curiosity was satiated for now. It was time to rein in Khyron. His revenge must be denied. His petulance was irrelevant. After all, there was a certain demeanor expected of a true Zentradi warrior.
Khyron is a Zentradi, whether he likes it or not.
Aboard the SDF-1, Rick Hunter found himself considering matters of a much more serious nature.
Now what do I do? Tonight we're gonna celebrate Minmei's birthday, and I still haven't figured out what to give her yet.
It was a harder decision than the one he made to enlist. Before he can even give it much thought, the ship's military PA in his room makes an announcement summoning back specific personnel, including Rick. He wonders what other problems this day can throw at him. Outside the ship, we find that Britai's chastisements have done little to dissuade the ambitions of Khyron. As one of his lieutenants reminds him of their standing orders to cease attacks on the battle fortress, Khyron reminds him that they're simply practicing. And if they happen to run into the fortress while they're practicing, well, that's just too bad for the Micronians. While Khyron continues his practice, Rick reports for duty as ordered, only to find he's the last one to arrive to, well, whatever this is about, and that's never a good look. Yet the top brass in the room is all smiles, including Roy. As Rick is lined up with the others standing at attention, the presiding general begins this ceremony, meant to recognize the excellence shown by these men during the Battle of Cerebase on Mars. Such courage under fire deserves to be acknowledged. Once again, we see these brave veterans tower over Rick's slight frame, as he breaks decorum in a motion to Roy, hardly believing such an event is happening to him. Roy remains motionless but smiling, as Rick finds his propriety once more, eyeing the medals being passed out, still barely believing he'd earned one. And sure enough, he leaves the room with one bright on his chest, walking proud as can be, but the day still has more surprises for him.
Hey, little brother. Huh? Hold on a minute. Let's you and I have a little talk in my room.
What a great ceremony that was.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's up, Roy?
Have a seat.
Huh? Oh, okay. What you got?
Just another medal you'll have to get used to.
Huh?
You've been promoted, little brother. From now on, you're a lieutenant. You proved your leadership capabilities under fire. Put it on next to your award.
Oh, sure.
Oh, and by the way, there is one other thing.
Wow, what else is there?
I'm assigning 2 subordinates to your command.
I'll spare you all the headache-inducing flashiness of Roy's, super advanced future computer.
This is Corporal Ben Dixon. He has 378 hours in simulation and 66 hours of flight time. He is Class A. This is Corporal Maximilian Sterling. He has 320 hours in simulation and 50 hours of flight time. He is also Class A.
Oh, nothing like babysitting a couple of new guys on the job. But at least them being Class A pilots was promising. Rick protests the notion of taking on leadership, but Roy's instructions and encouragement leave no room for arguing.
There's also a manual for you that contains all the official things you'll need to know about being a lieutenant. I guess that must be them. Come in. Reporting is ordered. This man will be your new commanding officer from now on. He's Lieutenant Rick Hunter, and he's quite a good fighter pilot. In fact, he was just awarded the Titanium Medal.
I'm honored to be serving under your command, Lieutenant Hunter. Corporal Ben Dixon reporting, and while I'm around, I assure you nothing will go wrong.
Glad we're gonna be on the same team. I'm Corporal Max Sterling, sir. Call me Max. I'm very inexperienced and might be needing a lot of help.
Well, I'm pleased to meet you.
Yes, sir.
Roy officially dismisses Rick, knowing he has a certain birthday party to attend to. As Rick gives leave to Ben and Max, they kinda sort of invite themselves along to whatever party this is. Rick considers it a moment, but figures it'll be fun. The more the merrier. All decorum goes out the window as the three of them instantly become best buds, heading down the hallways making a ruckus as Roy looks on with a smile, Riley wondering if this promotion was a mistake. On the bridge, we find this day is full of surprises for Lisa as well.
Thank you. Why, him?
What's that?
Why did this boy Hunter get promoted up to the rank of group leader?
I guess he got the promotion when he swooped down and rescued a damsel in distress back on Mars.
Oh, I'm responsible for promoting this incompetent... Oh, brother.
Ben boisterously dominates the conversation on the way to the restaurant, as Max shyly listens, chiming in from time to time. Although Rick feels strange being in charge of these guys, he's quickly reminded who is really in charge once they enter the restaurant.
Ricky Hunter, you're late, but at least you made it to my party.
Glad I could come.
Minmei shows off her new outfit to Rick, who is certainly pleased by it, but it quickly draws the wrong kind of attention from Ben, who harmlessly but loudly introduces himself. Minmei finds it terribly off-putting as Rick apologizes, finishing the introductions of Ben and Max. Max, being far more reserved and polite, is certainly more Minmei's type, as she is charmed by him, dragging him over to her own table with Rick close behind. Mayor Tommy greets Rick, but Minmei butts in, waiting for what is surely a thoughtful and endearing present from her adoring Ricky Hunter. He clumsily attempts to evade the whole subject, which fails to satiate Minmei, until Rick, exaggerates that he's, left her present back in his room. Speaking of presents, it was time for Khyron to give his to the battle fortress. The radar jamming he puts out blocks all sensors, but that alone alerts the savvy Lisa and Claudia, who put out the red alert to scramble all fighters.
Attention, this is an emergency. All Veritech group members scramble. All Veritech group members scramble immediately. Emergency.
Oh no, you're going?
Sorry.
Well, what can you do? That's the Army.
Taxi! Hey, taxi! Come on, you guys, let's get going.
Hey, wait for us! Hey, I can't take all you guys.
You gotta take us, pal. This is an emergency.
All right, but you're each paying separately.
Hey there, boss. That girl sure was cute. Is she anything to you like your girlfriend?
What kind of question is that to ask me at a time like this, Ben? You okay, Max? You're looking kind of green.
Yeah, I think I'm just a little tense.
Hey, Max, don't worry about a thing. You know nothing can go wrong while I'm around.
Oh, brother, now I'm really worried about this flight.
All Veritechs prepare to launch, Black Squadron, green, blue, brown, as Rick raises to the flight deck, ready to head out with his newly designated Vermilion Squad. He orders his team to the 4th quadrant of the ship, but Ben complains the position is too defensive, with all the really heavy action happening way over there. The frustration Rick feels is mounting as he reminds Ben to follow the orders issued. Ben may just get his wish though, as that first battle group is just a decoy, with the main Zentradi force being led to Vermilion Squad's position by Khyron himself. Global orders the destroids deployed to defend that section of the SDF-1, but Khyron's experienced and bloodthirsty battle pods easily outmaneuver them. Rick, Ben, and Max move to intercept their small squadron all there is to meet Khyron's in time. Ben's bravado proves to be a liability as he's quickly tailed by a pod, causing Rick to have to come to his rescue and bail him out.
Sure was a big fat mess you got me out of.
Hey, is that Max? Look at him go!
Max, you tore him up!
I'm happy I was able to help out. I'll show you something I learned in flight school called Foker's Fate.
Now remember, you have to confuse them. And while they're looking for you, you come up behind them. Yo, but you gotta be fast. It's unbelievable!
Lieutenant Hunter.
Huh?
Bad defensive maneuvers. Your response time will have to improve immediately.
Just wouldn't be a normal day without getting harassed by Ms. Hayes. Rick is amazed at the difference and juxtaposition of his two subordinates, as are we, the audience. Ben is fun, even in his failure to live up to his own hype. But how freaking cool is Max Sterling? Such a quiet and modest guy running circles around the enemy. Rick is as excellent a pilot as the SDF-1 has, and even he can't believe the moves Max is able to pull off in his signature blue Veritech. It remains to be seen if it's enough, though. The battle pods regroup as Khyron leads the next wave, attacking the apparently weak position Rick and his team are defending. Vermilion Squad picks off a few, but there's too many. They begin landing on the ship, dispatching the destroids defending its surface. Rick's team switch to Battloid to clear them out, but Ben takes a shot to the back. Rick is able to save him once again and begins to clear the area, but it isn't long before he comes head-to-head with Khyron the Backstabber. Both warriors find the other extremely skilled, and though they both incur major damage to their mecha, their battle is not easily finished.
Fights extremely well. His next shot's got my name on it. You gotta think fast, Rick, or you're a goner.
Ritai is informed of Khyron's direct assault on the battle fortress and is livid, not only at the prospect of the reckless Khyron damaging the ship, but for disobeying his express orders altogether and attacking it at this time. He orders the use of a manual override beam to recall Khyron and his battalions. The invisible signal is sent, frustrating an annoyed Khyron locked in battle with this Micronian fighter. Yet the systems of his battle pod and all the others are automatically recalled back to the Zentradi fleet, leaving Rick and company in confusion as much as relief. Captain Global takes this as evidence of infighting among the enemy ranks, which can only be a good thing for the SDF-1. We get a quick shot of the other unspoken heroes aboard the ship, those airframe and avionics mechanics who keep the Veritechs and Destroids in fighting condition. While they work tirelessly, the pilots take a breather after an intense battle. Ben is bandaged up, but mostly his pride is hurt. As the boys of Vermilion Squad tally up their day's work, Rick took out 5 battle pods, but is impressed with Max's 9, which he modestly chalks up to luck. Ben is shocked, especially since his own count was 0. They call it a day as they bid each other goodnight and head to their quarters, as an exhausted Rick has the nagging feeling that with all the events of this day, he's still forgetting something.
Oh, I forgot! Minmei's gonna kill me if I don't get her a birthday present. Now where am I gonna find something at this time of night?
Cola makes the good times roll. Have a peanut.
Wait a second. Great, a jewelry store. This place isn't open. Oh boy. I gotta tell her. If I can face an enemy squadron, I can face an angry girlfriend. I think.
As he tries to come up with an excuse, a funny anecdote, anything he can tell her to salvage this oversight, he sees her in the window, and she spots him as well. Well, she's happy to see him, and as he admits he's come to apologize, she assumes it's just for coming so late to give her a present. Rick just can't admit he'd never picked one up, so he scrambles for anything on his person that could work, and fortunately finds...
You didn't forget, and you still have time. That's fabulous, Rick. It's not midnight yet, so it's still my birthday.
I guess it could be a gift, so why not? Yeah! Hey, here it comes! It must be my day. Catch! Here you are!
I've got it! Oh, caught it! Oh. What is it? Oh, it sparkles and it's so beautiful. Did you really get this for me, Rick?
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Wherever did you get it?
I'll tell you later, Minmei. Happy birthday. Bye.
Bye. He's so sweet.
The day is saved, both outside the ship and within. Rick wisely leaves on a high note, making a strategic retreat. But Minmei is smiling, her birthday ends happily, and all is well aboard the mighty SDF-1.
完全変形メカニズムのバルキリーを走行強化。アーマードシステム装着完了。アーマードバルキリー、直ちに発進せよ。高徳トイスのアーマードバルキリー出撃。
Before we get into the pageantry of the illustrious MISS MACROSS competition, I think it's important to look back on one participant in particular. Contestant number 12, Miss Lin Minmei, and her connection with a certain fighter pilot aboard the ship, Rick Hunter.
There, that ought to do it. Switch on low energy and depress the foot pedals slowly.
Okay, here goes.
That's it. See how easy it is?
Phew.
Wow, you learn fast, don't you?
Thanks.
Minmei, come on. Okay, Auntie. See you later. We're being evacuated.
They're invading the city.
Yeah, it looks like the civilians got out just in time.
Wow, the whole place is under attack. I hope everybody got out okay.
If you're worried about your girlfriend, we might check on her.
Could we?
Take it easy, honey. You're okay. We'll protect you. Take care of the girl, Rick. I'll hold them off.
You can't handle them alone.
Don't argue with me. I'll draw their fire while you get her out of here.
By making stew, we can make our supplies last longer.
Right, I forgot. You're in the restaurant business.
No, that was my Aunt Lena's restaurant. Actually, I want to be an entertainer.
Huh. You planning to be an actress?
Well, I study acting, singing, and dancing. Here.
Thanks.
Be in love.
「
To be in love.
「
To be in love. 」 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 To be in love. « To be in love. 」 To be in love. 」 To be in love. 」 To be in love. « To be in love. 」 To be in love. « To be in love. 」 To be in love. « To be in love. 」 To be in love. « To be in love. 」 To be in love. « To be in love. 」 To be in love. « To be in love. 」
you've got a beautiful voice.
Thank you, Rick. If I could do one thing with my life, I want to sing. It's always made me feel so good. I've taken lessons ever since I was 4 years old.
It's always been planes for me. All I ever wanted to do was fly.
I know how you feel, Rick. Sometimes you can't be happy unless you do what you dream about.
So are you sure that being an entertainer is what you want from life?
Yes. I guess.
I don't believe it. Where did this come from anyway?
That's what I went back for. I was returning to get that when you rescued me.
A love letter, huh?
Don't be silly. You can take a look at it if you like.
What's this about? A singing audition and you got to the preliminaries?
That's right. I can hardly believe it.
Huh. What? This says you were accepted for the MISS MACROSS competition. MISS MACROSS?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's no surprise. You really sing well.
Thank you, Rick. But this isn't the Earth, so it's all sort of pointless, isn't it?
Miss what? Macross? I wish you hadn't entered that.
The MACROSS Broadcasting System is proud to announce its inaugural MISS MACROSS contest.
The mayor went ahead and entered me without even asking.
28 beautiful young ladies have been selected to compete from nearly 400 applicants.
Don't tell me you're jealous.
I guess I'm acting kind of stupid, aren't I?
Who will be crowned Queen of MACROSS? You, the viewers, will decide.
Minmei's entered a beauty pageant?
Yeah, and believe it or not, Lieutenant Hunter said our squadron wouldn't have to come to work Saturday night, so I'm going.
You mean it?
Yeah, he said he wanted a big turnout to cheer for Minmei.
Oh, maybe he's just in love or something.
He's what? In love? Hey, maybe you're right. That can make you crazy.
Wiser words were never spoken, especially by Ben Dixon. This is not a competition Minmei wanted to enter, and certainly doesn't think she has a chance of winning. But the mayor of Macross City, Tommy Lewin, seems to be a nice fella, a man of the people, the kind of politician who genuinely looks after his constituents and supports small business, family-owned businesses like the restaurant Minmei's aunt and uncle own. He seems to treat Minmei like she's one of his own children, and has probably heard her mention her dreams of singing and stardom. Being the supportive guy he is, he knew this would be a good opportunity for her, or at least a fun experience, to give her a taste of that dream. At the same time, he likes Rick Hunter, sees the kind of good young man he is, the soldier he's become, and is totally aware of his interest in Minmei. He even tries to help old Rick out in winning her over.
By the way, Minmei, do you plan to sing for us this evening? I think this would be a lovely time.
I don't think I feel like singing. How about him?
Why, that would be perfect.
But I'm not very good.
Well, I don't have much of a voice, but I'll give it a try.
That would be wonderful.
Listen, Rick, if it were me, I'd keep an eye on him. Minmei seems to have taken a liking to him. He just might steal her away.
Mayor Tommy Lewin is a good dude, trying to do good things for good folks. That said, Minmei is certainly nervous about this competition, but feels obligated to go through with it. And rather than be jealous, Rick decides to be supportive, and it's good to see him making these mature choices. Now, I think it's worth acknowledging that, from a contemporary perspective, beauty pageants are problematic. But rather than get all into that, I think it's best we remember this show is over 40 years old when such things weren't frowned upon. And in this instance, I believe it's okay to just take the intent of Robotech and Macross to use this contest as a plot device to move along certain characters onto certain paths, and if anything, brighten the morale of the beleaguered and brave citizens of Macross City and the SDF-1. And it was these very citizens and soldiers that would decide who would be MISS MACROSS. You, the viewer, will decide. This promo for the contest reached more than the eyes and ears of the SDF-1, though. The Zentradi intercept the broadcast, and Exodor attempts to decode its cryptic meanings to Britai. However, the signal is fairly garbled, So Bretai decides it's best to send their crack team of reconnaissance experts, the greatest trio of espionage in all the Zentradi ranks, Rico, Konda, and Braun. They head out in their specially equipped Cyclops utility battle pod to intercept this highly sensitive information and discover the nefarious plans of the Micronians.
This is Cyclops Scout Recon Ship 099er. Our orders are as follows. Intercept the information being broadcast by the enemy. Codename, Blue Wind.
The long-awaited competition begins, taking place in the new stadium in the center of town, which could seat at least half the population of MACROSS City. It's an all-out production, and nice to see that the skilled craftsmen and television producers native to MACROSS have hit their stride creating new content and shows for their audience. Also, we see one of the grand prizes to this contest, a new plane. Reminiscent of Rick's old Mockingbird, it certainly was a beauty. Designed, fabricated, and constructed right here in MACROSS. If you weren't at the stadium, you were probably watching at home. The bridge crew was certainly trying to catch the action, even while still performing their normal duties.
And now it's my pleasure to introduce the judges for this evening's pageant. Judge number 1 is the captain of the Robotech Space Force, Captain Henry Glovo.
You know, Claudia, I don't think I ever realized how handsome the captain really is.
You can say that again. So how come you didn't enter the contest? Afraid of the competition?
I love that Lisa just gives Claudia a look like, "You serious?" Anyway, before she can give any answer, trouble starts brewing.
Hey, I'm picking up some kind of enemy plane on my scope. I think it's a recon type.
Which group has patrol tonight?
It's the Vermilion Group, headed by Lieutenant Rick Hunter. Prometheus here, calling Lieutenant Rick Hunter. Huh? What do you mean? Hasn't arrived.
I guess all the taxis in town were already busy with the festivities. Somehow Rick wrangles up some other transportation. He's just happy to arrive before it's Minmei's turn to sashay up the runway. Backstage, a nervous Minmei is delighted to meet a certain contestant who just happens to be a real movie star. Jan Morris was a world-class celebrity on Earth before the Zentradi attacked. She'd simply wanted to be on Macross Island for the history-making launch of the SDF-1 and ended up getting marooned with the other 70,000 civilians on this journey. And she hadn't exactly been thrilled with this situation. It showed in the conversation she was having with her agent near Minmei. Minmei works up the nerve to go and gush at Jan Morris and politely ask for an autograph, to which Miss Morris, who feels bad at being reduced to doing something as tacky as this beauty contest, runs away in tears as her agent chews out Minmei for her insensitivity, leaving Minmei baffled. She's able to work up a smile when her turn comes up, and stuns Rick and the audience in her Chinese dress, sweetly walking the runway, ready to answer the questions of a panel of judges. It's good to see Minmei's little cheerleader section with her family and friends, showing their massive support for her.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, to the judges' questions.
Now, Miss Minmei, would you please tell the panel whether or not you have a steady boyfriend?
Steady? I don't believe I'm ready for that at this point. I mean, I think it's best to have a lot of different friends.
Since when?
Do you find it difficult making friends with members of the opposite sex?
Well, I have one real good friend who's just like a brother to me.
Oh, great. So I'm just like a brother, huh?
Paging Lieutenant Hunter.
Huh?
Speak of the devil.
Lieutenant Rick Hunter.
What are they paging me for?
You are requested to call the bridge of the Prometheus immediately. Lieutenant Hunter, call the Prometheus.
Oh boy, Rick's in trouble.
Huh, great time to get a phone call. It's Rick.
You're supposed to be flying recon. What's the matter with you? Our airspace has just been violated by an enemy plane.
I was just eating my dinner.
You'll report to Prometheus immediately. Step on it, Mr. Hunter.
I get the message.
I love that Rick gets confused by the fancy video phone, even as he's getting yelled at by Lieutenant Hayes, an occurrence he was simply used to by this point. It's weird that he tells her he was eating dinner though, almost like he knows it's just easier to accept his fate at this time, roll with the punches, and not fight whatever caused this mix-up, especially if it turns out to be his own screw-up. Whatever kept Lisa off his back the most. Rick's Vermilion squad was supposed to be on duty, apparently, but he didn't want to bother Max and Ben at this point. Besides, it gave him a good excuse to arm his Veritech with the latest set of heavily armed weapon systems and a plate of armor that Robotech R&D had developed. Strutting out the launch bay of the Prometheus, Rick figured this would keep his superiors happy. However, Lisa instead got on his case for taking the armored Veritech out to begin with. But even being on patrol was no excuse to miss Minmei's big shot with this contest. Rick fakes a weak signal from the bridge, tuning Lisa out, and tunes in to the show. But he's not the only one.
Conda, are you receiving anything?
Yes, I'm getting a clear signal. I've just started to record.
Good. Bring up the visuals on screen. What's this? I see it, but I don't believe it.
What? What is it, Rico?
Why, there's this man standing there talking to this woman. They're actually standing there together.
Rico calls Braun and Conda to come over and have a look for themselves. And they can't look away, puzzled at what they see for many reasons.
This is really weird.
I've never seen anything like it. I suppose what she's wearing is a new kind of armor.
But why would they give her such skimpy armor that can only protect such a small portion of her body?
How would I know? Maybe those are the only parts of her that are vulnerable.
I believe it's a formal uniform.
Don't be stupid. It must be a secret weapon designed to look like a woman.
They watch as Jan Morris struts her stuff and charms the judges, seemingly making her a shoo-in to win this whole thing. Rick is just excited to see how Minmei's doing, and certainly doesn't mind that it's the swimsuit portion of the competition. Unfortunately, this is not the time to become even a little distracted. His Veritech cuts his display to show his imminent collision right into the rear of the Zentradi recon ship. He reverses at full thrust, moving away, but they've detected him despite their own distractions and launch a few missiles his way. Rick is shaken by his near miss, watching the missiles approach, and is torn between dealing with them and cheering Minmei in her big moment. He makes the right move, taking out the missiles in the nick of time. If these guys want to fire missiles, he'll show them how it's done. Every hatch, nook, and cranny on the extra armor on his Veritech opens up, launching dozens of missiles at the Cyclops unit. Rico and his team are able to blow most of them away, which impresses Rick as he braces himself for their counterattack. His ablative armor does its job, protecting him from their return fire. After their volley, he ejects the rest of his armor to be more maneuverable and attacks the Zentradi pod with all guns blazing. His console exploding in front of him, Rico yells to Conda and Braun to get to their escape capsule. Rick isn't letting them go that easy, tearing through the ruin of their front end, busting through the hull, ready to dance. But there's no dance partners, just Minmei on the screen. What were they doing watching her and the contest? As the escape capsule ejects behind him, he has no time to react. The entire ship explodes all around Rick. The three Zentradi spies confirm their enemy target was destroyed. However, their recordings of the Micronian ceremony were as well. Rick's Veritech floats among the wreckage in space, with Rick unconscious, his screen static. The SDF-1 bridge confirms the explosion of the Zentradi ship, but they themselves are too distracted by the MISS MACROSS contest, although Lisa at least wonders what happened to Lieutenant Hunter.
I can't stand the suspense. It's down to the finalists.
I guess we must have missed a lot of it, huh?
I wonder why Rick is taking so long to return from his patrol.
He's probably just busy checking out the beauty contest.
I don't think so.
I knew it. Jan Morris made it to the finals.
It's hardly a surprise.
Yeah, you're right about that. There aren't too many females that can stand up to Jan Morris. I don't know. That girl from the Chinese restaurant's pretty hot, too.
Well, it's like a dream come true. I can't believe that I've really made it to the finals.
She could do it. You know, she just might be the winner.
You bet she will. She's really great.
Don't be silly, Ben. This whole event is a publicity stunt designed to promote Jan Morris.
Just because she's a famous movie star doesn't mean she'll win, does it?
A professional actress like her shouldn't be allowed to compete in a contest like this. She should be an honorary guest judge or something.
You mean you think they've fixed it so that Jan Morris will win?
No way. They couldn't get away with that because the people decide who's the winner.
It is great to see Minmei has made it to the final 5. Even Claudia noticed her. But it's hard to deny Roy and his cynicism that the crown will probably go to such a professional as Jan Morris. Jan Morris sure seems to think so. But it's up to the audience to vote as the ballots are cast and the tallies come in.
Press your button now. The computer is now calculating your choice. Who will be Miss Macross? We'll have a decision in just a moment. Yes, we have a decision. The winner is Miss Lynn Minmei. Lynn Minmei, ladies and gentlemen. Lynn Minmei.
Minmei.
And now let's take one final look at the queen of this year's Miss Macross contest, Lynn Minmei.
Miss Macross, Minmei, you made it.
It's endearing that Rick's first thoughts when waking up after surviving an explosion are of her. He's excited to see she won. Can hardly believe it. For her, it's an absolute dream come true. Despite the excitement of seeing Minmei achieve those dreams she'd often spoke of, Rick is filled with the most foreboding feeling. A feeling of his own dreams being dashed. The dream he had that maybe one day he and Minmei would truly be together.
Attention! Robotech has returned.
Thanks to the interference of that tenacious Micronian fighter, Rico, Conda, and Braun were unable to bring back the recordings of the unusual ceremony they witnessed being broadcast from the battle fortress. Braun insists what they saw must be some kind of psychological weapon being developed by the Micronians, since it caused him to feel things while viewing the transmissions. Rico feels differently, and their bickering leads to fighting. Ritai puts a stop to that with a firm word, rebuking all three of them, with Conda denying he did anything wrong. As they persist in bungling their report, a fed-up Bretai dismisses them all. Exodore suggests that further investigation is warranted, but is alarmed at the effect that viewing this strange ritual on the battle fortress has had on the three Zentradi spies. Another reconnaissance may be in order, and Exodore postulates that it may be time to capture a Micronian for further study up close. Bretai agrees, feeling that it's past time he moved to more aggressive tactics. On the SDF-1, a battle-weary crew listen intently as they're able to finally receive a transmission from Earth Defense Headquarters. The good news is the Zentradi have not been attacking Earth, seemingly far more interested in following the SDF-1. The bad news quickly follows as Command issues orders to Captain Gloval and his ship to continue to act as a decoy and not, repeat, not return to Earth.
So they expect us to be sitting ducks out here. Oh, forgive me, sir, I'm sorry.
Don't apologize, I understand your feelings. What they do need is to buy time for them.
Lisa wonders why their signals to Earth are no longer being jammed. Gloval knows it means the Zentradi are trying to be clever and intercept these transmissions to headquarters. Such realizations make him nervous what else they may be plotting. We find Ben, Max, and Rick working another day on the job as Vermilion Squad repels a battalion of battle pods once again. Ben takes some damage he isn't concerned over, but Rick radios the bridge for permission for his squad to head back for repairs.
Bridge control, this is Lieutenant Hunter. Vermilion team is heading back now.
SDF-1 calling Veritech Group Leader Hunter. You are not cleared to return to base yet.
One of my Veritechs has taken a direct hit.
If the plane is not damaged too severely, Lieutenant, I would prefer that your group remain in position.
Sir, the damage is really nothing to worry about.
I'll be the judge of that. I'm the leader, and I'm responsible for the safety of my men. I'm bringing the squadron in.
Are you telling me that you're deliberately disobeying instructions?
Commander Hayes, you seem to have forgotten what you learned at the Academy. There's no atmosphere here in space, and the smallest damage could prove to be fatal. And while you might feel perfectly safe gambling with our lives when you're safe and sound at your control desk, I'm not about to put my men in that kind of jeopardy.
Where do you come off giving me a lecture, Lieutenant Hunter?
That's enough, Commander Hayes. This time, Lieutenant Hunter just happens to be right. Now hear this, Vermilion Squadron. You will return to SDF-1 base right away. Lieutenant Hunter, you talk too much.
It seems Rick's leadership capabilities are increasing as he looks after the safety of his men on his squad, even being brave enough to stand up to the dreaded Lisa Hayes. Roy's mediation helps soften the blow to Lisa's stature of authority, though, and Vermilion team heads home. In the run-up to the execution of Exodore's latest plan to capture Zor's battle fortress, Khyron has been ordered to prepare firing a warning shot across the bow of the ship with his own ship's primary gun. As Khyron explains the orders to his second-in-command, Grell, he admits his intentions to augment his role in this operation. After all, it wouldn't be terribly hard to turn a warning shot into a bullseye. Such accidents happen all the time. With their fighters undergoing repairs, Rick takes the downtime to meet Minmei by the fountain in the park, the same special spot they met before his very first mission. But unlike that memorable evening, it seems this meetup is about to turn into more of an interrogation.
I think I'm being stood up.
Well, hello there, Lieutenant Hunter.
Huh?
Who are you waiting for?
Well,
Do you have a date?
Well, maybe.
Been waiting long?
No, I've only been here a couple of minutes.
Sure, mm-hmm. Is she really beautiful?
You bet. Beautiful isn't the word.
Oh, well, is she any prettier than we are?
Huh? It wouldn't be polite to make comparisons.
I guess she's beautiful then. Well, in that case, I'm not included. Oh, yes, you are. We unattached girls gotta stick together.
Paging Lieutenant Rick Hunter. Paging Lieutenant Rick Hunter.
It's funny to see Sammy, Vanessa, and Kim take such interest in the lonely and available-looking Rick. and they can't help but snoop as the telephone bot finds its target. It only takes a moment for Sammy and Kim to recognize the girl on the other end of the line as MISS MACROSS herself. And it seems she's flaking out on poor old Rick, too busy with her crazy new schedule since winning the contest. Kim and Sammy spare Rick the embarrassment of them eavesdropping while he's possibly being dumped. But Vanessa is too caught up in the drama of the moment until the others snap her out of it. Rick finds himself frustrated that as Minmei's career is taking off, he's being left in the dust. As her insistent music teacher pushes her to get back to it, Minmei bids a quick goodbye to Rick, ending the call. As a disappointed Rick leans back on the bench, he has no choice but to accept defeat on this strategic operation to hang out with Minmei for the day. The Zentradi's latest operation, though, is just getting underway. As several ships take up position, Ritai gives the order for them to fire at a nearby asteroid between them and the SDF-1. Lisa detects the attack as more shots are fired at them, as well as rocky debris. Global orders them to bring up the pinpoint barrier system to help repel the incoming assault as bulkheads seal within the ship, bracing for impact. Again and again, volleys are launched at the battle fortress, grazing the surface of it, still causing stress fractures and tremors both outside the ship and within, affecting the city inside and its citizens. Khyron sees his chance and takes it, moving into position, ready to put the Micronians in their place once and for all. Ritai and Exodore see his ship change position and become alarmed, just as Khyron fires a mighty blast at the control tower of the SDF-1. The full power of the pinpoint barrier protects the tower from the very worst of the destructive beam, but the sensor and radar arrays shatter under its force. The beam is able to penetrate through the control tower, killing several people, but the superdimensional fortress remains intact. Although everyone inside seems to be more than a little shaken.
Is it over yet?
Just as the crew recover, large pieces of rocky debris smash against the ship, damaging it further. Wreckage from this assault float all around the SDF-1, and damage reports flood into the bridge. Lisa spots an errant Veritech out on patrol, broken from the attack, its pilot dead. She remembers the words of Rick about the severe vulnerability of all the pilots outside the safety of the fortress. Claudia notices how disturbed this realization makes Lisa feel. Global asks for a situation report on the movements of the Zentradi fleet, but Vanessa can't get one to come up. There's no reading at all from the radar, which means...
It is fortunate they were able to survive.
And it is with no thanks to Khyron. He really went too far this time.
It's all right. It turned out for the best because now our next step will be easier.
Well, you may be right.
However, I am curious. Will they continue to fight without radar?
It was time to execute the next step of their operation. The Zentradi deploy several battle pods and Cyclops recon ships to encircle the battle fortress, knowing they can easily outmaneuver the now blind Micronians. It was only a matter of time before they would send out their own reconnaissance ships, and that's when the Zentradi would strike and capture an enemy Micronian. On the bridge, Sammy is receiving a transmission, but not from Earth. Its origin is from some other mysterious source. Global has her put it on the speakers.
In the name of the Zentradi forces, I order you to surrender. The last attack on your ship was a warning of what we will do. You cannot escape. If you wish to live, you must surrender at once.
It's a transmission from the aliens.
We repeat, in the name of the Zentradi forces, I order you to surrender. The last attack was only a warning.
Stop
Surrender at once.
The message loops over and over until Global orders it ceased, taking this threat as an insult, yet also seeing it as a challenge from the Zentradi to dare and make a move now. Being blind, they needed intel on their fleet movements, and Global needed his best officer to take point on such an important task. As the order is given, Lisa begins to protest, but relents and accepts the mission. Lisa and her pilot man the Cat's Eye vessel, with a Veritech fighter squadron assigned to cover her, and it just so happens to be Vermilion Squad, commanded by Rick Hunter.
Ironic, isn't it, Commander, that I was chosen to fly cover for you?
It really is, but I think we can handle it.
Based on their tone with each other, I always suspected that Lisa had indeed handpicked Rick and his squad to be her escort, simply to show him how brave she could be after his little chastising spat earlier. Rick was sure this assignment was the price he paid for talking back. Not far away, a Cyclops unit observes the Vermilion Squad and its Cat's Eye, and Britai sees his enemy has taken the bait. It was now time to trap them. He moves his fleet nearer to the position of this small squadron, and they begin to harrow Rick's team. Despite Ben itching for a fight, Rick reminds him their mission is to protect the Cat's Eye. Max warns about incoming pods, and Lisa, irritated by Rick's over-insistence to watch over her, declares she'll be fine and orders Vermilion Squad to pursue. Lisa's pilot tries to find a safer position as Max single-handedly destroys the Cyclops pod of the Zentradi. Max's instincts are top-notch, and they're telling him that whatever they have planned, it seems the bad guys are really playing for keeps this time. Rick agrees and orders his team to pull back to Lisa's position. Lisa and her pilot attempt to maneuver through the debris field, but find themselves overtaken by Britai's personal flagship. In their effort to evade it, the Cat's Eye turns into a nearby asteroid. Lisa narrowly avoids being crushed by it, but her pilot is not so lucky. Seeing the Micronian recon plane take damage, Exodore orders the immediate capture of its survivors. Rick and his team desperately look for Lisa as they hail the Cat's Eye, just as they spot Britai's ship and the Cat's Eye being taken into it. There's no way they can let this happen as they rush to its rescue. Britai and Exodore begin the long walk down the corridor to the hangar where the Micronian captive will soon be arriving. Lisa comes to and sees Rick and Vermilion team fighting their way to her, but she orders them to retreat and save themselves, just as she's taken inside the flagship. Rick watches as she's taken into the indomitable gigantic ship, bigger than even the SDF-1. He heard Lisa's order and knows he has a choice to make here, to follow her orders or to break them.
All right, Ben, let's try to hit them from below.
Lisa can't help but be happy to see Rick and his team, but must also be concerned for these brave men under her command. Ben and Max provide cover fire for Rick as the Zentradi foot soldiers run from the lethal gunfire of the Micronian Veritechs. Max admits to Rick that he and Ben are nearly out of ammo, though.
I'm running low too, sir.
Lieutenant Hunter, do you realize you're disobeying my orders?
This is no time for protocol, Commander. Watch out.
Micronians have broken into the lower deck holding area and are attempting to rescue the captives.
Your Excellency, wait for me!
Britai is tired of these Micronians slipping through his fingers and refuses to let them get away this time. Just as Rick is offering Lisa a ride, Britai arrives in the hangar, jumping from the catwalk to knock Rick's Veritech over. He stands up and absolutely towers over the tiny Lisa. But Max is on it though, holding Britai in place, calling for Lisa to run for it. He can't believe the strength of this Zentradi as he feels the joints of his Battloid creak under the stress. Max tells Ben to fire his 2 remaining missiles at the ceiling, blowing a hole in the bulkhead. Even as the hangar decompresses into space, Max blasts off in a controlled burn, lifting Britai up towards the vacuum of space. Rick barely snags Lisa before she follows too closely, and Max is able to fling Britai out into space, just before the emergency bulkhead reseals the hole. But it seems Britai isn't done yet.
Lieutenant, what do we do now?
Try to burn through the airlock with your lasers, but you'll have to do it quickly. They'll return any second now. All right, Lieutenant, move it.
Yes, sir, ma'am.
Do you think I could get down now? You can admire me later.
Oh, yeah, sure. There you go.
Looks like our group leader gets a little weak in the knees around Commander Hayes.
I noticed.
It looks like the chemistry between Rick and Lisa is more than just mutual animosity, if Ben and Max are picking up on it. Outside, Britai, without a mecha or even a spacesuit of any kind, moves along the hull of his own ship, far from being defeated and close to another entrance. Max and Ben attempt to carry out Lisa's plan, using the lasers of their battloids to try to cut through the hull. Being out of any other munitions, it's their last resort. Rick stands guard with his empty gun pod held like a cudgel, as Ben and Max trade spots to let their lasers cool down. As Ben takes position, he is completely unaware of the uninvited guest above, waiting to drop in. Britai stands ready with nothing more than a giant steel pipe and his own sheer Zentradi grit. With a mighty war cry, he launches himself below, crushing Ben's battloid from the top down, ready to show the other Micronians what a true warrior is made of. Ben's crunched Veritech falls to the ground, while Rick and Max hold their empty gun pods, unsure if Ben even survived the assault. Rick is closest to this monster of his Zentradi, his terrified voice calling out to Max to stay sharp. Max is amazed the same guy he tossed out an airlock is back. He can't even help but smile. He keeps his characteristic cool, telling Rick to let him handle this. But the Zentradi soldiers on the other side of the door have heard Commander Britai's war cry and rally inside the hangar, coming up behind Max, giving him plenty to deal with. And unlike he and Rick, they aren't out of ammo. Britai charges at Rick, weapon raised. Rick meets his challenge, but is easily disarmed by the giant warrior, his gun pod nearly crushing Lisa as it hits the ground. She gets up but is immediately snagged by one of the Zentradi soldiers, who declares his capture of the female Micronian. Max sees them take Lisa and overpowers the soldier who comes to him, intending to get Lisa back. But the other soldiers line up in front of the one holding Lisa in the bag, and they all open fire at Max. He leaps and converts to Guardian, avoiding their shots as they pursue. Rick is slammed to the ground by Britai, who intends to impale his Veritech to the ground with his pipe. Thinking fast, Rick raises his Battloid's leg, using the booster of its foot to nearly melt off the other side of Britai's face. Rick presses this advantageous moment, grabbing Britai as his Battloid soars through the air to fully body slam the fleet commander to the ground, pinning him. But only for a moment, as Britai returns the favor, picking up Rick's entire mecha without even a struggle and tossing it hard. Rick is able to maneuver himself to land on his feet, but Britai rushes to meet him, punching him back a step, kicking him onto his back, and not even being close to done with him, Britai picks up the Battloid by the arm and flings him into an empty rack on the wall, hard enough to pierce through the armored Veritech. Rick is shaken in the cockpit and near panic as he sees Britai still coming straight at him in his monitor. Unable to move his limbs, he refuses to give up, aiming the guns mounted on his head to fire at Britai. But the alien sees it coming, ducks, and reaches up blindly to crush the Battloid's head with his bare hands.
You're finished now, Micronian.
What does it take to stop this guy?
Britai continues to tear away at Rick's Veritech, stripping off the armored chest and leaning in towards the cockpit window, looking for the Micronian inside, meeting eye to eye with his tiny opponent. Rick has only one choice left.
Let's hope this thing works like it's supposed to!
Aha! You cannot escape that easily.
Max sees Rick eject and be caught by the giant warrior and tries to fly in to assist. But Rick's damaged Veritech self-destructs next to Britai. He catches the explosion full body, while the other side of it blows out the hull, catching Max in its decompression right before resealing. Britai lies on the ground, his uniform torn and burnt as his men approach him, inquiring his condition.
Commander, are you wounded? Commander Britai, are you all right, sir? I am not built quite as weakly as you are. You're right, of course, Commander. Well, so this is an enemy Micronian.
Britai is certainly made of sterner stuff. He regards the small, fragile being in his hand, and he can't help but respect the fierceness with which he fought. Few foes have ever given Britai such a brawl, certainly never one so miniature. He had personally seen to the great success of this operation to capture not only one Micronian, but 3. With that troublesome blue one out of the way, he takes these specimens to Exodor. Their unconscious bodies are placed in a chamber for study, with scans, readings, and samples already divulging fascinating findings to the small, scholarly Zentradi as he goes over the details with Britai. It was fortunate they were able to procure both male and female Micronians to get the full spectrum of their species. Exodor then relays to Britai the most revealing finding of this study.
In addition, the skeletal, cellular, and genetic structures of these prisoners appear not to be much different from those of our own. It's alarming. Looks as if they're coming around.
Yes.
Ben, wake up! Ben!
Don't wake me until it's time to eat.
I mean, I know pilots should be able to keep their cool under pressure, but Ben takes that to a whole new level. Lisa also stirs, seeing Rick and wondering what the situation is. Rick is very quick to blame her for all of them being captured in the first place, which is pretty unfair. He actually starts leaning in pretty heavily to some rather sexist statements, arguing that certain assignments shouldn't be given to women. Sheesh. Now, one could argue that it's just this particular woman that he resents, since she's been on his case since the day they met, and he's just going about it in a very passive-aggressive manner. I suppose we can chalk it up to the frustrations of the situation, which they both feel, but their argument escalates to great display for the Zentradi observing them. We find out the Zentradi segregated their males and females from each other long ago, which, according to Exodore, helped to solve several similar such issues as they are currently perceiving in their captives. Watching this bickering between the male and female Micronian makes Britai feel nauseous. Seeing them interacting, his head and stomach begin to spin. Exodore admits to feeling the same, but this is precisely what makes the Micronians such a threat, this mysterious effect they seem to have on the Zentradi. Exodore advises that because of this, it is imperative they take these Micronians to be interrogated by the supreme commander of all the Zentradi, Lord Dolza himself. Meanwhile, Rick and Lisa continue their little spat.
I shouldn't have to remind you that it was your job to protect me, but even when you commandeered that battloid, the enemy made mincemeat of you. I sometimes wonder how you became squadron leader.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, Miss Commander, that fighting that alien was no walk in the park.
I know, I'm just scared, Rick. What plans do you suppose the enemy has in store for us?
I'm working on my own plan.
Lieutenant, Commander Hayes, I didn't miss lunch, did I?
I love Ben. Outside the ship, a lone blue Veritech moves along its hull, observing damage from previous battles in one section, with holes big enough for a battloid to squeeze through. Max notes that although the Zentradi seem to like to fight, they don't seem to care much for repairs and maintenance on their stuff. That suits him just fine, seeing as how it just provided a way for him to get inside and hopefully find the others. I think it's notable that Max could have just returned to base at any time. But he's not the type of guy to leave his squad behind. Lisa finds a silver lining in her captivity. She's still on a recon mission after all, so she uses a tiny micro-video camera to record anything and everything inside this alien vessel. Even though Ben smiles at the dedication Lisa is putting into her duty, Rick nonchalantly dismisses the notion, considering their circumstances. There's about to be a whole lot more intel to gather, though, as Britai orders his ship to fold back to the Zentradi main fleet and their home base. The alarm Lisa and Rick feel as they sense the fold is incalculable, putting the odds of ever getting back to the SDF-1 near zero. On the battle fortress, this fold is detected by the bridge crew, who note it occurred in the same area Lisa and Vermilion Squad had been in. The fact that they haven't been able to raise them on the comms for some time, along with this fold, is taken as a grim omen by Captain Gloval. Roy had been worried about Rick's disappearance, but knows he wouldn't be the only one. He figured Minmei would want to know, and patiently waits for her to inevitably show up at her family's restaurant. When she does, along with some friends or groupies, it's hard to tell. She's curious to see Roy, but it seems strange he's there without Rick. Minmei, despite her bubbliness, isn't stupid. She had probably imagined this possible conversation at some point, the kind of conversation you have with a serviceman after a loved one has been killed in action. She keeps a brave face in approaching Roy, but the seriousness of his expression, his eyes filled with empathy, lead Minmei to think the worst has happened to Rick. Roy tries to convince her that there's still a possibility Rick is fine, but wanted her to know he is currently MIA. Still, that's all Minmei can take, as she runs away, eyes filling with tears, while Roy explains to her friends that she may need some time alone. It's notable that Minmei would go to the very park where Rick had saved her life, and not for the first time. The very spot where he told her he was going to join the military.
Minmei, I'm gonna do it.
Huh?
I'm
gonna join the Defense Forces.
Even the beauty of the ship's artificial sky went unnoticed, as Minmei is lost in contemplation, remembering Roy's words.
I'm only saying that we've lost contact with him temporarily.
He's dead?
No, please stop. Don't assume he's dead. We don't know that.
Even if Rick was still alive, he was lost in the sea of stars, and Minmei realized she may never see him again. Winning Miss Macross had been a dream come true, of course. Minmei had been on Cloud 9 ever since that day, doing promos and interviews, ramping up to the big debut concert that would elevate her to true celebrity. And she loved telling Rick all about it.
Well, let me hear it.
The title's kind of silly. The name I made up is My Boyfriend's a Pilot. Isn't it dumb?
What's dumb?
I might sing it for you sometime.
She'd wanted to tell him everything, but she'd just been so busy. She wanted to see Rick more and tried to talk to him when she could. But with her debut and everything all approaching so fast, and Rick had been so supportive, and now that day had come, and all she could think of was that he wasn't here with her to see it. But she could at least put on a smile and a show, and as much as she hoped Rick was out there somewhere and would one day come back to her, she could inspire that hope in the people of Macross, the SDF-1, and maybe one day, the world. As her concert kicked off, the feeling of it, of her music and voice, truly sparked that hope and joy in the people aboard the ship, especially for Roy, who missed Rick dearly. But with Claudia by his side and Minmei's songs emanating, he felt a true connection. A connection to this family on board the ship and to his little brother, who he knew was out there somewhere.
Sure would like to know where these bruisers are taking us.
If you want to know the truth, I'm not sure I'm so anxious to find out.
Wow, it's been almost 10 Earth days since we began this fold operation. I'll bet a lot has happened in Macross City.
That long?
That long. Time almost seems to stand still during fold operations.
I'll be darned. Minmei's already had her debut, I guess.
That's right, Minmei's debut.
Rick retreats into himself at the mention of Minmei, rather wishing that Ben hadn't brought it up. As time passes, the ship finally defolds, and just as the trio are wondering where they might be, Ben cries out in shock. Out the window, they observe so many Zentradi ships. Thousands, maybe millions. As Lisa records with her camera, Rick points out a glimmering cluster of lights that their ship seems to be headed right towards. The lights belong to a ship so huge it could fit hundreds of SDF-1s inside. The fleet surrounding this large vessel is staggering in its numbers. Britai's own humongous 9-mile-long craft is welcomed inside this gigantic main ship. As it makes its way towards the center, we find Max making his way through Britai's ship, hoping to find where they've taken his friends. It was such a big ship. Seems that its personnel was pretty spread out. But even still, he spies some Zentradi officer coming his way and tiptoes, as best a giant mech can, to a nearby closet. At least he thought it was a closet, but the contraption inside looked suspiciously like a commode. Well, the odds of that officer needing to use the head were pretty slim, right? Sure enough, the door unlatches, and it's tough to say who was the more surprised. But either way, Max was faster, kicking the Zentradi right in the gut with a powerful robotic leg, catching him as he folds and pulling him inside. And of course, turning the lock to Occupado. It took a little patience, a bit of trial and error, and a lot of luck, but Max is able to pull off the clothes from the Zentradi officer and dress his Battloid in them. Though he admits it's not the greatest fit, his sensors show him some funky proportions. But it'd have to do. It didn't take long to find a chance to test the disguise, and Max holds his breath as he passes the soldier, who spares him only the briefest glance, but continues on. Max exhaled in relief, and just hoped that guy didn't have to use the bathroom. Ritai's flagship enters the center of this massive vessel, the inside containing several dozen more ships, as well as some amount of atmosphere. In an effort to contain any chance of some kind of contamination, Lord Dolza boards Britai's ship, where Exodor, Britai, and the three spies, Rico, Konda, and Braun, await his eminence. Lisa, Rick, and Ben are in the center of what to them was a huge conference table. They stood defiantly, ready for anything, waiting for who knows what. Lisa just wanted to make sure to capture whatever this event was. Out of the shadows, a bald Zentradi bigger than the one Rick fought walks to the head of the table, wrapped in simple yet regal gray robes. It's clear he's in charge, but more than that, he's able to introduce himself in the language of the Micronians.
Welcome aboard, Your Majesty. The Micronians are ready. Greetings, Earthlings. My name is Dolza, Commander-in-Chief over all forces of the Zentradi. You will now submit to my interrogation.
He speaks our language.
I know, I don't believe it.
Well. It seems our communication methods are working.
Tell us what you know of protoculture. You, the chubby one, answer His Majesty.
Forget it. I don't know anything about it.
You're lying. Why do you insist on attacking us?
You're the guys that are attacking us.
You deny you've made a secret weapon?
And what is your knowledge of protoculture?
Just a minute. Nobody here has the slightest perception.
Enough, Ben.
Lisa was trained on how to handle interrogations, and felt it was time to assert her position and the rights of her men under her command. Dolza is both amused and annoyed at this.
So the little female is in charge here. It seems you are drastically underestimating the seriousness of your predicament, young lady.
Dolza begins some recording or simulation showing the dominance he wields with his fleet, boasting that he could, at a whim, destroy the Micronians' battle fortress, all the people aboard, and even their entire planet Earth, with the wave of his hand. Having seen the fleet outside, this threat was certainly not empty. This power was truly awesome, astonishing, even shocking. Despite the awe and grandeur, Lisa decides to call it as a bluff.
There must be a reason they choose not to destroy us. I don't think you have enough power.
Impertinence!
Are you crazy?
Let me handle this. The SDF-1 has much greater power than this bucket of bowl.
Commander, look out!
Hey, what do you think you're doing with her?
Remain in your place. And now, my feisty female, I want to know by what process you become Micronians. Answer me at once.
Stop squeezing her! We're born into this world as Micronians.
Born, did you say?
Yes, but born from what is the question?
Well, from our mothers. What do you think?
What is this thing, mothers?
That's the parent who's female.
You don't mean you are actually born from these females?
But how is this possible?
Look, it's like the birds and the bees. It's no big deal. It's just a process of nature. When a female and a male love each other, it just happens.
Rick couldn't believe he and Ben were having to explain this stuff to anyone, let alone giant alien people, or that they seemed more interested in sex than in the SDF-1's capabilities, movements, or strategic plans. But Britai pressed on in this questioning, as the Zentradi must get to the bottom of whatever the Micronian psychological weapon they employ is. How does it work? And what are these words? Parent, mother, and love.
This love, what is it? How do you express it?
Well, by kissing one another.
And so we are to believe that's how Micronians are made? Why don't we see right now by having you both kiss one another?
What? You can't be serious. There's no way I'm gonna kiss him.
Demonstrate this kissing or I'll crush all of you.
Wait! I'll be the one to demonstrate.
Well, all right. Make sure you do.
So, now, listen, Lieutenant Hunter, I want you to kiss me.
Huh?
I want to get their reaction on my video recorder.
All right then, but why don't you do it with Ben?
Because I'd rather do it with you, Rick.
Then you'd better make it a command.
It's not that Lisa wasn't kissable. It's just she's probably the last woman Rick had ever hoped to kiss. Plus, the giant alien with the thing on his face was looking at them so intently. But orders are orders, although he felt some betrayal towards Minmei.
You will now proceed.
I'm giving you a direct order.
Whatever you say, Commander.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Forgive me, Minmei.
In this moment, despite his loathing for Lisa, the fact that the room ceased to be, the giants looking at them, that the entire universe stopped the instant his lips touched Lisa's, ignited an undeniable spark within Lieutenant Hunter, one that seemed mutually shared by Miss Hayes. Even as they parted, and the universe came crashing in around them once more, they had barely registered the extreme reaction of their captors at seeing such a sight. The three spies are abhorred. Even Britai and Exodor are speechless. Dolza registers the seriousness of this weapon, this effect, this culture, and the implications of it all. Disgusted, he orders these Micronians to be removed from his sight at once. After their dismissal, the Zentradi counsel together, unable to pinpoint exactly what caused their own reactions to the Micronians and their kiss. Dolza insists this means the Micronians have access to the very secrets of protoculture. By the request of the three spies, Dolza divulges the classified meaning of protoculture. At this time, it's kept rather vague to the other Zentradi, as well as to us, the audience. And we will go through the meanings and definitions of protoculture in Robotech and Macross both in a future episode. Suffice it to say for now, all Dolza admits is that protoculture is the essence of all their technology and society, or at least the society that the Zentradi derived from before they evolved into their giant warrior race. But its very secrets were lost, hidden by the Robotech master Zor, and sent across the galaxy. Which is why it is imperative they capture the battle fortress of Zor, the SDF-1. Lisa, Ben, and Rick are placed in a large empty room to act as a holding cell, with Lisa feeling powerless as she watches the metal doors close. They make themselves at home as best they can as they try and process everything they just experienced.
That was the strangest thing I've seen. I mean, you and the lieutenant just kissed one another. And the monsters seem to be scared half to death.
You're right. And when you realize they have enough power to blow up the rest of the world, why would something like that scare them?
I would like to know what all this protoculture business is they keep talking about.
We've seen that their society has no civilians, and that the men and women aren't to come in contact with one another, and they don't have any children.
Yeah, well, all I know is that I don't want to live somewhere where you can't even have a girl. You know what I mean, Lieutenant?
Right.
Well, one thing I'm sure of is when we return to the ship, this videotape will give us some answers.
You mean if we return to the ship?
Enough of that, Ben.
The mission was the only thing keeping Lisa going, holding back the despair she felt looking at that massive metal door locking them in. But what Lisa didn't know was they'd been seen on their way to this cell by a figure in a green Zentradi officer's uniform concealing a blue battloid underneath. And the pilot of this mecha, the man behind the battloid, was their one chance to escape. Ever since that one-eyed giant handed Rick his aft thrusters, and he'd woken up in captivity, he'd been working on a way to get out of this predicament.
What plans do you suppose the enemy has in store for us?
I'm working on my own plan.
Lieutenant, Commander Hayes, I didn't miss lunch, did I?
Obviously, they couldn't outmuscle these giants, even if he had his Veritech. He'd have to outsmart them, and thinking back on their interrogation, he may have stumbled on the perfect solution.
Hey, I've been thinking about a plan that might get us out of here. When we kissed before, Lisa, you remember how the aliens reacted? They were astounded, as if they'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah, you're right. That's weird. They didn't know what to make of it. It was almost like it scared them or something.
So when the guards come to feed us, we'll do it again.
Yeah, maybe it'll throw them long enough for us to make a break for it.
You must be joking. I won't do it.
But Commander!
I mean it, Ben. I'm serious. I won't kiss him. He made up that absolutely ridiculous scheme just because he wants to kiss me. I know I may be naive, but I'm not stupid.
Rick is vexed at the very suggestion that he's looking for excuses to kiss her, which begins another unruly shouting match between them. But Ben cools things down, offering up his own lips instead, to which there are no takers. The guard outside their door yawns, probably wondering why anyone has to guard these tiny prisoners at all. The yawn does not go unnoticed by Max Sterling, though, who is waiting for just the right moment to make his move. As Dolza confers with Britai and Exodor about what their next move against the battle fortress should be, Rico, Konda, and Braun volunteer themselves to infiltrate the SDF-1, study these Micronians up close, and even undergo the process of micronization to do it. Dolza is pleased by this and gives his approval to the 3 spies. Speaking of approval, Lisa reluctantly, almost sweetly, decides to give her approval to Rick's plan to kiss and distract the guards. But she makes it clear it's for duty's sake, certainly no other reason.
Well, don't do me any favors.
With a plan in place, they fortunately hear commotion just outside the door and get ready to create their distraction to stun the guards. And oh boy, does it ever stun their incoming visitor.
I'm ready. It's your move.
Well, pucker up.
It worked!
Let's go!
Wait, guys! It's not who you think. It's me, Max. Look!
What a relief.
We thought you were dead.
How the heck did you get that enemy uniform?
I'll tell you later. I'm afraid somebody might come by. I'd say the important thing right now is for us to all get out of here.
Okay, I heard that.
Okay, now. Up you go. Now, hold on a minute, Ben. All right.
What's the idea?
We'll just put you in this pocket by yourself so you don't interrupt the lovebirds, huh?
It certainly is gentlemanly of Max to give Rick and Lisa their privacy, and the look they give each other at his words is hilarious. Max can't help himself but have a little more fun at their expense.
I don't see anyone coming. Boy, Lieutenant, you really had me fooled. I mean, well...
Maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I thought you preferred younger women. Now you seem to like the more mature.
But wait a minute, Max.
The only reason we did that was to escape.
Oh, mum's the word. I promise you won't hear me telling anybody about it when we get back to the base.
Now see here, Corporal.
If you two keep making so much noise, somebody's gonna notice us.
Their ruse works. For about 30 seconds. A few more guards come, presumably to get the prisoners, but Max makes a break for it, taking out a few of the soldiers who look rather bewildered at what's going on. As he runs with his teammates riding in the pockets of his disguise, the Zentradi open fire, their standard rifles not doing much to slow the blue battloid. Rick shows his leadership skills by telling Max to change modes, the Guardian configuration easily outpacing their pursuers.
The only question now is, where are we going?
General Britai. Yes, what is it? Sir, the prisoners have escaped.
What?
Oh. These Micronians are quite amazing. We'll recapture them, sir. Just make sure that you do, Britai.
Max heads towards an elevator to escape the new batch of Zentradi firing at them, which opens to a very startled soldier who jumps out of the way. Rick climbs the Veritech's arm to work the controls of the lift, and Max's instruments tell him his fighter has taken too many shots. He warns the others it'll overheat and blow soon, and Lisa knows they have no choice but to run for it and find another ride home. As the elevator doors open, the heat from the Veritech rushes out along with the four of them, right into the lunging embrace of a waiting soldier. Before he can get a hold of them, the four of them scatter. Max and Ben one way, with Rick and Lisa the other. The giant can't decide which pair to chase, but he quickly has other concerns to worry about.
This way, let's move it. Follow me. Everybody run! Come on!
What's that?
Jeez, that scream. He definitely just got Terminator 2'd. Lisa and Rick find a spot to hide and catch their breath, worried about Max and Ben, hoping they're all right. Rick peeks out at what room they're in and is startled at what he sees. Inside of humongous liquid-filled chambers, he and Lisa witness as the Zentradi inside are changing, their mass shifting, reducing them to the size of humans. Lisa takes the chance to record this on her micro video camera until a guard or operator for these chambers checks on the three subjects in them, which cues Lisa and Rick to keep running. Max and Ben are sprinting away with Zentradi hot on their heels, but Max is able to use his laser rifle to blow out the control panel of the door, giving them a chance to find some cover and keep moving. Rick and Lisa hide behind a weapons rack in the supply room, taking a breather and going over all the things they've seen since their escape. Lisa postulates that the Zentradi may have once been the size of humans originally, but engineered a way to change their size and strength to handle any condition they may face. This train of thought leads her to wonder if there is even a chance of Zentradi and humans sharing a common ancestry from somewhere in the cosmos. Rick understands what she's saying and even agrees as they piece together a hypothesis about their enemy, but they remain unaware that one of those enemies is slowly sneaking near.
I believe it has to do with this protoculture they're always talking about. Otherwise, why would they have been so insistent in trying to find out what we knew about it?
Look out! No!
Talk about a comeback. Rick fires again and again, pulling the enormous trigger with all his might. As he moves to free Lisa from its grip, Lisa is somewhat hysterical, mostly because now she lost the video camera that contained the proof of the Zentradi's giant fleet, its capabilities, and all the other intelligence she'd gathered. Rick won't let her give up as he pries her loose, telling her they'll just have to make a written report as usual, but for now they gotta book it. Lisa is charmed at Rick's refusal to leave her behind, but sure enough, more bad guys chase right after them. As they head towards a bridge, the Zentradi open fire, attempting to startle the Micronians into stopping. But instead, the damaged floor gives way, and Rick and Lisa tumble into the depths below. As the glass is being swept up in Britai's control module of his ship, Dolza chastises Britai for allowing the Micronians to escape. Britai takes this as a great shame, a true blemish on his decorated career. Dolza further disciplines Britai by removing him from active duty, taking him off of this mission to capture Zor's battle fortress completely. informing him that he'll be placing Commander Azonia in charge from now on, figuring that perhaps a woman's touch will help further the success of this continuing operation. Rick is haunted by visions of Minmei, an ethereal phantasm of her moving away from him, saying goodbye. And he awakens with Lisa's relieved face coming into focus, her hair down and wet, as Rick sits up, realizing they fell into some large reservoir of water that broke their fall.
It's really weird.
It's in terrible repair. Though I guess we shouldn't complain. Falling into this liquid is what saved our lives, you know.
Well, the liquid might have broken the fall, but you must have saved me from drowning. I was unconscious.
Well, I wasn't about to let you die.
But...
Why don't we just say that we're even now?
You know what I find strange about all this? With all the advanced robot technology these aliens seem to have, why is it they let everything get so run down?
Well, maybe that's the one thing they don't know how to do.
How can that be?
Not sure, but how about this for an idea? Maybe with all the technical knowledge they had, they still only know how to use the equipment, but not how to repair it.
Could be.
Haven't you noticed that though the systems are complex, they're not impossible to understand?
It might be for them.
Just think, isn't it strange? All the aliens we've seen have been soldiers, no civilians or technicians or maintenance personnel.
Now that you mention it, it does seem rather odd. Just about all these aliens do is fight.
Lisa can't help but wonder why these powerful aliens, with their entire fleet, strength, and space-conquering capabilities, are so intent on capturing the SDF-1.
Well, maybe there's something special about our ship. Perhaps it's one of a kind.
Maybe they're looking for some Robotech device related to this protoculture they're always talking about, and it's hidden somewhere on board our ship.
You must admit, when you think about it, it's really pretty sad. A whole population that's experienced nothing but war.
In that respect, they're really no different than I am.
How's that?
Not when you stop to think that my family has been in the military for the past 100 years. The only life I've ever known has been with the Defense Forces. Even now, all I can think about is the mission.
That must be why you ended up at the top of your class.
How'd you find out?
Oh, all the pilots know. We figure any woman who makes it out with top honors is some kind of supergirl. I guess that's what it takes to get there.
Maybe that's it. I'm always being kidded by Claudia about the men obeying my orders. I mean, she's always saying something like, oh, Miss Hayes graduated with honors, they're afraid of her. Absurd. Well, enough of that. What about you and Minmei? You're Miss Macross.
Huh?
Oh, come on, don't be shy.
What makes you ask about her?
You were crying out her name. Minmei, Minmei.
So maybe I was.
She must mean something to you, right?
Well, not really. I mean, she used to be... But, well, ever since she became Miss Macross, they decided to make her a celebrity, and she just hasn't had much time for me.
She's a very talented girl.
Well, she's made her debut by now, so she's probably become a very important person aboard ship.
That's nice, though.
What?
Well, what I mean is at least you have someone. There's somebody back in Macross City that's worth returning to. The only thing waiting for me is another mission.
I can't believe that. I can't believe that once we get back, you won't find somebody to care about.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I am. As beautiful as you are, I'd bet my life on it.
You know, you shouldn't make idle bets with a lady.
I'm quite serious.
It's all right. We'll know if you're right if we get back to the ship. Shall we?
My pleasure.
It's good to see these two finally getting along. But even more than that, maybe even becoming friends. Rico, Conda, and Braun, their tiny new forms draped in the barest tunic and twine, report for duty. Dulza bids them to gather as much information on the Micronians as they can, and upon return of a successful mission, he promises them command of their own battleship in reward. The three are excited by this prospect, as Dulza dismisses them to carry out this all-important task. A task which will ensure victory of the Zentradi over the Micronians. Rick and Lisa don't know where to go exactly, but their instincts tell them to follow the breeze they feel. Luckily, Max and Ben follow the same instinct, and, sure enough, before long, the four of them are reunited, amazed they've all come this far. Max spies a cruiser that looks like it may be ready to head out, the loading of supplies before a mission being a pretty universal ritual, it seems. Deciding that no matter where that ship is going, it must be better than where they are now, they make their way to the loading dock and are able to sneak onto the supply shuttle as it heads to its mother ship. A purple-hued cruiser belonging to the new commander of the mission to capture the SDF-1, Azonia. And with her is the lead pilot of her fighting force, the famous ace of the entire Zentradi fleet, Miria Perino.
Delivering spies onto the SDF-1 hardly seems like a mission worthy of my services, Azonia.
That's quite enough, Miria.
But Commander,
This mission happens to be a very special one, ordered by Commander-in-Chief Dolza himself. The Micronians might prove to be more dangerous than their reconnaissance force led us to believe.
We are ready to begin fold operations.
It's interesting that Azonia wants to approach this mission with great caution after reading the reports of Britai's dealings with the Micronians. It's just that caution isn't exactly Miria's style. Lisa and Vermilion Squad continue to improvise their escape plan as Lisa comes up with a brilliant idea.
I know what we can do. We can commandeer one of those battle pods.
Sounds good, but how do we operate it?
That couldn't possibly be a problem for 3 ace pilots like you boys.
Nope.
Weren't you in a hurry, Rick, or am I mistaken?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Now, let's discuss how to go about getting our spies onto the SDF-1.
Why not just leave that up to me?
You will deliver them alone?
As we're only dealing with Micronians, how difficult could it be?
I expected that attitude. You may be surprised.
The 3 spies are placed into a comfy-looking capsule and are both excited and honored to find out that the famous Miria herself will be taking them to the Micronian ship. Miria prepares her Quadrano power armor confidently, matter-of-factly, as she receives last-minute instructions from Azonia.
We'll draw the enemy's attention away from you, so have a successful mission.
Don't worry.
Well, we're on our way now. And we'll finally get to meet the Micronians in person.
It's amazing to see how nimble and powerful Miria seems to be with her Quadrano, easily conveying the feeling of just what a threat she truly is. Lisa rushes Rick and the others to hurry and get the battle pod moving, sensing that they've defolded and they may miss their chance to get away. As Rick activates the pod, it alerts a pair of guards immediately, but Max is on top of it, manning the weapons of their pod, easily dispatching the guards. They blow out the wall while they're at it, and are ejected into space by the decompression, with Rick able to stabilize them while they figure out how to work the radio to call out for any friendly forces, unsure even of where they are. It doesn't take long before they hear the friendliest transmission possible, though.
Getting anything on the transmitter?
Not so far. Huh?
Ah!
That music sounds familiar. It sounds like it's Minmei. That means MACROSS City.
It must be! That means we're almost there!
Against all odds, they've ended up back home. A battle wages all around the ship, with Roy and the Skull locked in combat against a surprisingly dangerous new enemy pilot.
My, the big bad enemy doesn't seem so bad at all. They're hardly putting up any resistance.
What blazes was that?
This is my time to be a star. And the thrill that I feel, it's really unreal. I can't believe I've come this far.
We made it!
This is
This is First Officer Miria reporting, and my mission has been successfully completed.
Well done, First Officer Miria. You will now withdraw and report to your assigned rendezvous point.
This Miria is clearly a force to be reckoned with. Max finally figures out how to send out transmissions as well as receive them. Lisa, being their group commander, as well as basically the voice of the SDF-1 as it is chosen to send out their distress call. She can't even hold back her tears of joy as she radios the bridge, and almost immediately, Roy and his Skull 1 and 2 members of his squad arrive to personally bring this wayward band back home. The end of this episode also marks the end of Volume 2, the first of the videos that my brother's friend, Bash, had found and brought over for us to watch. We all had thrilled through that entire videotape, marveled at the intrigue and revelations of this arc of the tale, and cheered at the victories of our heroes in their daring journey. But the journey was far from over. Bash had also brought us Volume 3 to watch that same night. The SDF-1 and her crew, as well as Macross City and her citizens, were on the verge of returning home to the beautiful Earth they'd missed so dearly. Yet the revelations, the rivalries, and even the impending tragedies were only just beginning to ramp up.